Hello, YouTube family. You're in for another episode 2 of the journey um, of a teacher, coach, and real estate agent. This is episode 2. I'm glad you're with us. It's going to be a fun journey, and we're going to talk today about two things in episode 2. First thing we're going to talk about is a little dynamic in coaching, a little something I think a lot of coaches struggle with and deal with these days and have since the beginning of coaching. And that's relationships. And we're going to talk about relationships today with coaching, how they can be good, how they can be not so good, and how to overcome those obstacles you face in the world of coaching. Secondly, I'm going to pick up where I left off with real estate last time, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the process of getting certified, the process of me going through the certification, and how to go about that if you are so interested. But just give you a little insight on that and how all that went. A lot of people might be curious of, I've heard about this thing. How do I become a real estate agent? Or how easy is it? What are the ins and outs? And it's actually a lot more simple than you would think. And I'm going to explain some of that here shortly. So anyway, glad to be with y'all. It's a beautiful Tuesday. Looking outside, it is gorgeous. It is a nice day. We're blessed to have good weather after a couple days of it being pretty nasty over here. So anyway, let me just jump right into it. Okay. Basically, relationships in coaching can be very delicate. There's lots of variables involved. I think that the first variable that can really mess things up, and we're going to talk about a whole lot, is pride. The lack of humility. They go hand in hand. So if one is prideful, they're usually going to struggle a lot with the relationships in their life, especially in the arena of coaching, because it does require extreme humility. I'll say that again, extreme humility, not just regular humility. I'm talking day in, day out, applying yourself to this thing that we call humility in a very aggressive way, that you seek out humility, that you practice humility, and that you use it on a regular basis. It's not easy, very difficult to do. But I want to explore that and talk about that. First off, let me say that relationships and coaching with one another, coaching on a staff, whether it be football, basketball, track, whatever it is, baseball, lacrosse, I don't know, whatever it is that you're into, is all about relationships. Number one, relationships with your athletes. Then number two, relationship with one another. And I would venture to say that if your relationship with one another's are not in check, then it's going to mess up the whole dynamic of that team. And it can happen a number of ways. And I'm going to give you some instances here. And what compounds this pride nature, this ego nature that we all have as coaches, because we're all alphas. We're all alphas. There is no beta. This is an alpha dominated business. You are an alpha. You're here to hunt. You're not going to be hunted. You are the hunter. Sometimes you will be hunted and you don't even know it. That's when you lose a game. And that's when you slip up and get that loss that you don't expect. So you have to be kind of a curious, stalking beast, if you will. You have to be very wary of your surroundings. So, and that brings us to this. Pride can trip you up in a big way. All right. Now, whether it be in a game, in a practice, in a individual training session, if you don't have your pride in check, it's going to get you a whole lot, and it's going to ruin your credibility. Let me just say this: it's magnified. I would say enhanced a great deal. Because you have a lot of pressure. Coaches have a lot of pressure, whether it be from community, school, parents, athletes. There's a whole list of pressures that we put on ourselves as coaches, and it is growing every day. because we want to be the best. We're competitive, and that manifests itself many times in how much pressure we put on ourselves. Our wives see it. Our families see it. We don't see it, but they sure see it, and they let us know when we push it away and say, oh, I've got this. No, you don't. You're about to experience a downfall. So recognizing that you have that pressure on yourself, I think, is the first key. And recognizing that pressure is needless many times. And you don't need all that pressure on you. You can just be yourself. You can just be who you are, who God created you to be, and live out your career in coaching and make a positive impact, an eternal impact in the lives of other athletes and coaches as well. But that pressure eats at us, and it creates this pride mechanism that we use to, I think, cover that up and protect our egos, and it's just a big ball of yarn that eventually becomes a problem. I will say that especially in game settings, and I've seen it in practice settings as well, and I've experienced it myself because I am far from perfect. By the way, I had an incident today, not an incident. I was just being a knucklehead. I was in traffic and I got prideful. I got very prideful. I acted like, I don't know, I acted rude. Let me just say that. I wasn't crazy or anything. I didn't get out my car and chase after everybody. But I was rude. I was rude in traffic, and I immediately checked myself. I was like, man, I'm going to be talking about pride this evening, and I know I've got a long way to go. I'm far from perfect, guys. I'm far from perfect, and this is therapeutic for me to sit here and talk to everybody about this, to really see that in myself and constantly put myself in check, because that's so key to your development as a person, your developing your profession. It affects everything. Pride. How can you maintain humility in the midst of this prideful world? So I immediately asked God for forgiveness, said, Lord, forgive me. I will do better next time, and I will be more humble in that situation. And that's what's beautiful about the mercy and grace of God, is that we have the opportunity to get up again and again and again and try this thing called life. And that's such a beautiful thing, that we can once again wake up, be humble, be what we need to be for the glory of our Creator, and it's a wonderful thing. So back to pride and how it manifests itself. I've seen this happen in games. I've seen it happen in practice. I've experienced it myself, where you lose control of every sensibility and you turn into a animal, a beast, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good when you think about it later on. It doesn't look good to the kids, to the parents, to the other coaches. It tears down a lot of credibility and a lot of morale. And it hurts everybody in the process. But in that moment, you're so geared up on, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. Nothing's going to change that. And we're fighting to the end to see who's going to be right. And so instead of checking ourselves immediately, laying our swords down, and coming to a agree to disagree commonality. That would be ideal in the coaching world. It would save a lot of relationships. It would save a lot of heartbreak, and it would be a wonderful thing. Now, how do we avoid this pitfall? Whether it be in a game, practice, whatever, just going throughout your day. Well, number one, actively seek out humility. Actively seek it out every day. I have a quiet time. I do. Rick Warren is who I'm listening to now. Love it. Very humble guy. He actually lost his son. He lost his son to suicide, and he talks about that in his podcast and how it has humbled him immensely to seek out the things of God and the things of true character. And so I listen to him. It's incredible. So I listen to other people that are on the cutting edge of character and character building. So I think having that in the morning, having that first thing when you wake up, reflecting on what you're about, what you're going to do, how you're going to seek out humility, how you're going to live that out, and really visualize that throughout the day. And I think that's so important, actively seeking that out. And then not only reflecting on it, praying about it, seeking counsel about it, but also actively participating in that humility throughout your day, whether it's buying lunch for somebody. I think that's a great positive thing you can do. Buy lunch for somebody. Maybe spend a little time with them. Invest in them in some way, somehow, whether it be through breakfast, lunch, whatever. But spread those positive vibes. Actively seek those things out. Those moments are all throughout your day, but we got to take time to do that and be creative with that. And that goes to relationship building and everything else in your life. But in the world of coaching, I think you have to go the extra step, because it's such an alpha situation. It's such a intense environment that every day, every chance you get, not to look weak, but there's power in humility. There's freedom in humility. And when you seek that out, when you pursue that, when you act that out, it makes, number one, a difference on your coaching staff. It makes a difference in your life, in your family's life, and it makes a difference in the whole morale of the team. It's win-win-win. So pursuing humility, acting out humility, everybody sees it. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing. And instead of becoming weak, you now become extremely strong in your faith. And it's like a judo move. It really is. You turn that weakness into your strength really quick, and it enriches the lives of everybody around you. It's such a powerful tool. I think if you look at some of the most powerful people in our history, and you see their humility, there is so much power in that. Man, I could go on and on about that element. So if I could go back in time and I could seek out people that I've had these instances with over the last 20 years, how many times have I come across these situations where I felt horrible about how I acted towards someone else because of pride, because of the lack of humility? I could count those out. Thank God it's not overwhelming, because I'm not perfect, but I think that overall I've done fairly good in that area. But you know what? Fairly good is not good enough. I need to do better at that every day, because I look back on relationships that could still be here that aren't, because of pride, whether with me or with them or with both of us, with the whole situation. Those things could have been prevented. I could be having coffee with someone that I've known for years, having a wonderful conversation about our families, experiencing great life together, but yet pride got in the way. And that environment, that intensity, that stress, that pressure of coaching seeped out that relationship. It squashed it. And we can't let that happen. As coaches, as husbands, as fathers, as mentors, we cannot let that happen. And I'm just as guilty as the next guy. And I feel bad about that. I look back often throughout my weeks, and I think of those relationships that could have been and that's an encouragement to me to keep on seeking out humility. That I don't want that to happen in the future, and I want to build people around me. I don't want to tear them down, and I want to build through humility and doing it God's way, not my way, basically. And I pray most days, most weeks, that, man, I can continue to do better in that area. Pride leads to the downfall. Pride is, God upholds the humble, but opposes the proud. Man, that's powerful. And I want to be that humble servant like Christ was. So anyway, looking at my time, I went over. I was going to go into part 2. I'll go into part 2 next and explain a little bit about the real estate side. But like I said, I love this because I jump around a little bit. I can talk about this, talk about that, and I want to build people up. If you are a coach, if you are thinking about coaching, if you are thinking about leaving, don't leave it. Don't leave yet. No. Stay in there, hang in there, pray about it. God's going to use you in mighty ways. Think about this element of humility. There's freedom in humility. Freedom. There is power in humility. There's strength in humility. And it builds everybody else up around you, on your team, in the locker room, coaching staff. And I regret the times where I have not expressed that humility that was needed. I regret to this day. And I thank God for that, because it makes me want to be a better person for the future. Anyway, I'll go to part 2 here in a little bit. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is awesome. I appreciate every one of you. Have a blessed, awesome week, and I will talk to you soon. All right. Peace out.